Hey guys, it's me again, and today I wanted to talk about a topic which I've technically kind of talked about it before, and I've struggled with what I'm gonna call this video. I've considered calling it why I'm a moralist or the decline of morality in uh modern society. But I think it's better to title it Life After God, because I want to make it a little bit more personal, in nature. And, you know, I'm not gonna really go into how I lost my faith in God. I already made a video like that, around 2 years ago now, um, when my channel was much smaller. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to watch that one. But what I am going to talk about is like the immediate time after I lost my faith and I no longer believed, as I no longer believe in a deity. um and this happened when I was like 15 in early 2014. um so accordingly, as any young atheist, especially young Latino atheist, I got all what I can only describe as Reddit about it. That is to say that I adopted like a very know-it-all, very arrogant, uh I I don't like the M word, MILTANT word for atheism. I think that's kind of cringe, but I would maybe say overzealous. Um, because typically atheists don't go around unaliving people in the same way. Not to say that there hasn't been examples of that. There have been. But they don't go around unaliving people in the same way and with the same frequency that religious people do. So calling it with the M word is kind of not accurate in my opinion. Anyway, um but I was zealous about it and kind of annoying in the way, people on Reddit maybe tend to be. Um and to be honest, it was because number one, I was a teenager, obviously. Number two, like, I was just excited to be rebelling, to like, um have thoughts that I thought were like so original and like um especially considering that I'm Latino, bro. You guys don't understand what it's like to be an atheist and a Latino, bro, unless you're also Latino. But and this goes for like black people too and pretty much a lot of other minorities. Like, that's number one. You're like, God is a foregone conclusion. So to suddenly overturn hundreds of years of that in your own family, you feel like you have so much power, right? Um, but of course the problem with that is that I was so blind and I didn't really take time to think about the full consequences of my loss of faith particularly, and the loss of faith in general until I, read Nietzsche's parable of the madman, where, a madman has a lantern and he goes out in daylight in the marketplace saying and asking people um where God is, that he's looking for God, he's looking for God. And they laugh at him. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And stuff like that until he's like, "My time has not yet come." They don't know what they've done, right? And it's like because the reason the madman is like that is because for so much of history, gods or God was the ground of human existence, of morality. And so to not have that anymore, that's that's wild. Like, what do you do with that, you know? I was simply focusing on the rebellion aspect of my loss of faith. I feel like I have and have always had good reasons for abandoning my faith, but like I wasn't really taking it in, like really thinking about what that really means until uh really coming to terms with particularly Nietzsche's, not only Nietzsche's, but Hitchens, Dennett, uh, Richard Dawkins, kind of, although I've never even sampled any of his written work. Um, and predictably, I I don't even know how to describe it. I guess like I became hedonistic because it's like, oh, like, morality doesn't exist. I can do whatever I want. I can be selfish and like I did try to do that. I did, become a hedonist for a while and it just wasn't working out. I got into dark inkwell rabbit holes, into like stuff that I was like, do I really want to be this person? Like, and especially with the help of my family, after some time, I came to a more nuanced, um, appreciation of what God means for ordinary people, and especially because, as I've said here before, both my parents are migrants. I'm a migrant. Um, and God for them was their only like rock and tether when things got really tough, especially my mom. I've said that before, and I started to, not just look at the history of these religions as like, oh, this disproves them or whatever, or at least negates any claims to divinity or inspiration that they might have. And don't get me wrong, I still believe that. I believe that to this day. But, you know, I didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. I started realizing, like, wow, these stories are actually kind of good, and they have way more metaphorical and allegorical content than I ever really knew about. Because, like, my upbringing, religiously at least, was kind of conservative and fundamentalist. And so, slowly but surely, I started to come back to an appreciation of faith, of religion, and of God. Um, and now I'm more of like a cultural Christian in the sense that I try to imitate Christ in my life. I try to, follow the Gospels, uh, alongside taking other things from other faith traditions that I think fit with my worldview. And most importantly, it still gives me that strong sense of morality because I'm gonna be honest with you guys that this sort of utopian, sort of like neoliberal enlightenment dream of like reason freeing everybody and stuff like that, it's just not like in life in vivo. It's just not realistic. Like, mm, you know, I mean, this is gonna be a weird citation, but like I saw this meme, and it was like this couple arguing, um, and it's like the one partner is like, "Oh, you're the worst. You're so mean," and then the guy is like, "Ad hominem fallacy." Yo, that's not the way things work, and cause whether we like it or not, humans usually aren't persuaded by reason, and they're not captivated by reason for the most part. Your average person, like, to me, I love that. I love math, I love equations, I love science and the arts and stuff like that. And, like, but, your average person wants to see things in an entertaining way that they can understand. And that's where religious stories, parables, fairy tales, mythology in general comes in, right? Like, and the push for like this cold calculating reason, which again is not a defense of anti-intellectualism, but I do think that's part of the reason why, like, as well as just the like general state of the capitalist dystopia we live in, that's why you're seeing things like the push towards bodybuilding and like weirdly tied into Orthodox and Catholic Christianity and stuff like that. And like, while I think, and I've done videos on why I think that type of thing is, you know, wrong, and it like doesn't square with the actual sources, like it's trying to mix the moralities and cultures of two different time periods together in a way that was never historically happened, like with the way they portray stoicism and just Greek Greco-Roman masculinity in general as somewhat emotionless. I don't agree with that, but I understand where it comes from. It comes from our current culture of like moral nihilism. And it works on the other side too. Like, you talk about a lot of the moralists on the left, the purity tests and stuff like that too. So, but it's because people are hungry for morality. They're hungry for that sort of um moral tether versus just kind of like, waking up, going to work, doing your work, coming back, being alone, and repeating the same thing over and over again. Like, that's where it's from. And for me personally, holding on culturally to God, to faith, to religion in some way shields me from a lot of that. And I realize that it's okay to not necessarily believe in it, but to have it as part of my culture because like it just is. Um and that's okay. And yeah, that's why I personally consider myself a moralist and I guess a Christian atheist. Um yeah, anyway, and finally, that's my life after God, or how I found God in an unconventional way. Alright, see you. Bye.